But yeah, yeah. So they're making new models. They look similar, just much more, just better made all around, better proportioned. There's a human head sculpt, or not human, but there's a bear no helmet sculpt and a few variations of it, and they look good. Unlike the bear head sculpt, the zero helmet sculpt for these models, they look pretty bad. Those look pretty bad, and that's why I haven't been using them. Let's catch up on the chat. You'll have to check them out. And not having to use glue is great news. Yeah, so I'm not sure if the new ones are push fit or snap fit, but a lot of Games Workshop models in recent years have been that way, which is super cool. There we go. This just might be the best edge highlighting job that I did this whole session. The ones that I had worked on earlier, they didn't look so good. All right. Let's take a look here. So, are there pictures, or they just announced them? Yeah, there's pictures. You can, if you look up like Games Workshop on YouTube, or sorry, Warhammer, or Warhammer Official on YouTube, you'll probably get the results. Yeah, there's just a few days ago they showed the new Eldar models, the Eldar Guardians, that is, and then on Christmas time they showed a box set that has Eldar, other new Eldar models, not Guardians, like their scouts and jet bike riders and stuff. Eldar models and new Chaos models in a box set, and they have like trailers for them and stuff. Very cool. I might end up getting some new Eldar models, but I'll have to make a rule for myself where I'm only gonna buy those new models if I can finish these old models. That only seems to make sense, right? I gotta paint the 20-year-old models first. So here's all of them. And there's still more to do for them, but we'll get there. I think what I'll do is quickly show the next step that I want to do for these guys. We might as well kind of get into that just a little bit. Where was the... Here we go. Let's just put these back. So the next step is to do some glazing in order to kind of bridge the gap between the edge highlighting and the base coat. So I think that's what I'll do next. And then there should be... I really should do another layer of edge highlighting, but I've actually gotten sick of saying that word now, like this whole session. So I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is do the glazing. And for that, I'm going to take some of this Kaldor Sky. This will be the last thing I do today. Take some of this Kaldor Sky and put it back into this highlight color that I have mixed previously. And again, thanks to the glory of the wet palette, it's still usable, it's still wet. And I'm kind of darkening it, bringing it down. It's slightly darker than that previous color, thanks to the Kaldor Sky. And we're gonna add some water to make it more watery than we would normally do to apply the paint. And what I do is I kind of just dip the paint in my water cup, and then bring it into here and mix it around, and kind of, you can see how it kind of like dries up. Not dries, it kind of shrinks. The water tension, is that what they call it? And we'll use this big brush. I think this brush might be good for it. And we take some of that, and now this is going to be the glaze, which, as I said, is going to... Oh, wait. Oh, see, I have it kind of mixed up. Some of the models that I've glazed. This is a model that's been glazed, so I don't need to do that one. Now I have to find the ones that I've glazed. Yes, that one, that one. Yeah, all these ones look slightly better than the ones that I've been doing today. That's how I can tell. This one with the... Okay, I think the rest of these are ones that I did today. This is one that I did today, the other day. Yes. And this guy too. Okay. So with those new Eldar models, they didn't sort of reinvent the wheel. They still look very much in keeping with the older range. And that's so that, people who have the older models, they're not suddenly left high and dry with figures that look completely out of touch. But also that kind of speaks to the strength of the original designs, these designs. And I can even tell you the primary designer for these, because when I was super into Games Workshop and the hobby, I had internalized all the names of the sculptors and the artists and the painters much in the same way that you might do that for like movie directors or comic book artists and writers. I really, was such a big fan of the things that Games Workshop was doing that the people involved with it, they were like rock stars to me. It's funny to think about now, but yeah. But yeah, so the designer for Eldar, even going as far back as the 80s, his name is Jess Goodwin. And to this day, he still works at Games Workshop and designing Eldar and the Space Marines and stuff like that. And it used to be that the Space Marines and Eldar shared some design themes and commonalities, but over time they've kind of worked towards differentiating them more, which is good. But so some of the older Eldar range, you can kind of see how there's this connection between them and Space Marines, that they kind of share some commonalities. But yeah, that's not really what you want, because they shouldn't, at least in terms of the lore, have that connection. So over time, Games Workshop has kind of done a better job at making the Eldar feel like an alien race, and the Space Marines feel more... well, you know what? That's a whole other topic, eh? That I don't know if I want to get into, but yeah, like Space Marines used to be kind of like knights, right? That was sort of the design point, right? Space Knights, right? Despite the name being Space Marines, they were more akin to like holy warriors and knights. But over time, and especially with the new redesign of the Eldar, I said Eldar, the new redesign of Space Marines, the Primaris Space Marines, they've kind of entered a new era where they've kind of gone away from that, and they're more techy. They're more like combat and tactical, more akin to like a modern functional armor and stuff like that. The designs have less to do with knights, and yeah, more resonant with like modern tech, I guess. And that's been the cause of some criticism, some complaints from fans that enjoyed the older look and somewhat resent the newer look. And in fact, if you look at the newest, the latest trailer for Space Marine 2, or rather the only trailer for Space Marine 2, the main character, gosh, I forget his name. The main character there is wearing Primaris armor. So he actually is wearing the new modern armor, and if you compare it to the older armor, there is a difference. There is a difference, and in fact, someone noticed like on the forehead, on his forehead, he has these like little dots, right? Each dot on his forehead denotes 100 years of service for the emperor. For the emperor, and from Space Marine 1 to Space Marine 2, it appears that like 200 more years has passed or more, which is pretty crazy. And he got the Primaris Space Marine upgrade. Bacon just checked out some of the pics, and yeah, they don't look that different. And Eldars are like space elves. Yeah, they don't look that different, but that's, in my opinion, that's kind of a good thing, in the sense that, yeah, it kind of just goes to show how strong the original design was. I think the main thing is they're actually like larger. I think they're going to be more akin to 32 millimeter scale rather than like the 25 or 28 millimeter scale that these models are. And that's just a weird scale creep thing that that Games Workshop has kind of fallen into over the years. The models just tend to get bigger and bigger, and the scale of the game in terms of like of the miniatures have gotten really big. I can actually show the difference now. I showed this before, but so yeah, this is a fully painted Eldar guy right here, and this right here is the metal Eldar Guardian from before. And you can see that the metal guy is smaller, not small enough that you'd really care about the difference, but it is smaller. And the new figures, I think, are going to be like this much bigger, I think. Like, you can see the eye line, right? The eye line between this guy and this guy is totally different. It's a little misleading because of the crest on his helmet, kind of makes him seem taller. Or actually her, this is a female. But yeah, this guy is bigger if you look at like the eye line, and the next one I think is going to be a little taller than that. So yeah, let me do one more session. Session, is that the right word? Let me do one more edge highlighting example and kind of explain what I'm doing. I didn't really explain it. I'm sure a lot of people know and understand. Did I say edge highlighting? I meant glazing. And so yeah, I've done a lot of the highlights just on the edges. That's what I've been doing this whole time. Getting sick of saying that, I know. But so now what I want to do is kind of softly make a transition between the base coat and these edges, these highlights. And so we take this in-between shade of the highlight and the base. And I could have stood to make it a little darker, I think, but you just want to apply it, and it's very thin now. And you just kind of push the watery paint around and make sure it pools up at the very... You kind of start from the darkest parts, or you start from the edge, and you kind of push it around until it looks like it's soft. And yeah, I'm not like the best at doing this, but I kind of have developed a sense for it, if not like a 100% super accurate, appropriate method. I just know it kind of works for me. You kind of just push it. It's so thin, right? It's so thin. It's like dirty water, colored water. And say for this, right? The edge highlight kind of goes to this part. What you want to do is kind of just take your paint and kind of push it like that. Just like that. and it can kind of get streaky. You know, ideally it shouldn't be too streaky, but that's the general idea. And see here on the thigh plate again, just gonna push it around. They're getting thick. This is actually a female guardian, and I've been trying to make sure that like the boob armor kind of looks round, and that's something that you kind of have to apply a different technique towards rather than edge highlighting. But yeah, as you kind of lay on the layers of highlight and even deepen the shadows, which is something I might do later another time, as you apply those layers, they do tend to create the impression of thickness, of volume. Yeah, that's like actually one of the terms that they use, like volumetric shading.